Morning, everybody, and welcome into To The Point. Hope you're all doing well on this Thursday. We are live this morning with lots to get into. Matt Wright will be joining me in approximately 50 minutes. We will touch on some NFL topics. We will touch on the World Junior Hockey Championships, which are ongoing in Moncton and Halifax, as you all know. Lots happening in the sports world. Lots happening. Big comeback by the Detroit Red Wings last night after I told everybody to fade them. Down 4-0 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They win the game 5-4 in overtime. Good for Detroit. Tough start for Pittsburgh out of the break. 2 straight losses to the Islanders and Red Wings, respectively. The Boston Bruins win another game. 3 points out of the possible 4 the last 2 nights. They haven't slowed down yet. Keeping track of the NHL, keeping track of the NBA. But right now, my focus is on the World Juniors, and it's on college football / NFL. That's where my head is right now. Although Saturday, when I do predictions for 2023, I will be talking about the major sports. So I'm going to throw some golf takes in there as well. So that's what's coming Saturday morning on the podcast. But for right now, I watched the game in Moncton last night between Slovakia and the United States. And I expected to lead the show with it. The Slovaks defeated the Americans. It was a major upset. It was a really entertaining game. And I'll go into it in great detail. But there are just certain players, there are certain games that you have to marvel at and you have to appreciate and really dive into. And last night in Halifax, we saw one of those performances with Connor Bedard. I'm now going to refer to him as Boy Wonder. The debate over the number 1 pick, the debate over who should we grab, Matvei Michkov, Adam Fantilli, it's over. I fought against it for a little while. That's been put to bed. The drama of who's going to be picked number 1 is gone. The team that wins the draft lottery will be selecting Connor Bedard. And at the surface, you can look at last night and be really pragmatic and be negative if you want and say, well, it's only against Germany, which I saw online, which is a stupid argument, by the way. But he played well in the opening game. He's played well last night. And he is the heartbeat of Team Canada. Shane Wright might be the captain of this team. Connor Bedard's the best player. He's the pulse. He's the straw that stirs the drink. Whatever analogy you want to use, Connor Bedard is to this team. Team Canada will not win a gold medal unless Connor Bedard is playing at a very high level. Through 2 games, to me, the rest of this team has been average, to say the least. They've been pedestrian. They've just been there. Canada has scored 4 5-on-5 goals in two games. 9 on the power play. Meaning that when it's not Connor Bedard doing things, it can get a little quiet. But you look at him last night, 7 points, a hat trick, and what was the most impressive aspect of his game last night for me, what I think he's improved the most on, because I watched every game he played from the last the last game of the round robin until the gold medal game in Edmonton, and that was just in August. It's his vision. I saw a guy with an excellent shot this summer. I saw a guy that wanted to shoot, that knew that he had a great shot, and a better shot than 99% of the world. But I didn't see a player that was openly creative, that wanted to create for his teammates. And that has been his biggest step in his game to me, is just his ability to hold the puck a little longer, stick hand a little more, wait, and wait for a play to develop. Wait for the defense to fall back, to come to you, get a two-man come on you, and find Dylan Guenther on the opposite side of the ice for a tap-in goal, which he did 3 times last night. Dylan Guenther had a hat trick last night. It'll be the easiest hat trick he ever gets if he ever has another one. It was just, okay, here you go, wide open net, shoot the puck. That could have been me. Those are going in. Tape-to-tape passes. He's getting double teamed. He's getting double coverage, Luka Doncic level, and he's finding open players. He was a floor general. He was the orchestrator of everything Canada did in a positive way last night. He is just, he's a wonder boy. He's a wonderkind, however you want to say it. He's 17 years old. And he's going to pass Jordan Eberle for the most goals in the history of Team Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championship, which is 14. He has 12. He might break that tonight against Austria. And by the way, Jordan Eberle played at this tournament when he was 19. Connor Bedard could play in 2 more World Juniors, which he won't. But he will break the record for most goals at this tournament at 17 years old. How crazy is that? He looks like a little kid and he dominates the ice. He's playing against 19-year-olds. He's teammates with them. And his vision, his shot, and just his overall game, his tenacity on pucks, his ability to play physical, all things that can translate into your NHL game, that was on full display last night. And it's so clear. Like I said, I watched Shane Wright in this tournament so far, who's been fine. I watched Logan Cooley last night for the Americans, who was not fine. Who actually had a really bad game for the U.S. I'm watching these players that went high in drafts that are good players, don't get me wrong. But Connor Bedard has more pressure on him than any player in this tournament, in my opinion. Because he's going to go number 1 in the draft. He knows it. Everybody knows it. Even though he's already got a gold medal in his trophy case. And even with all that pressure, he's played awesome. They scored a couple goals against Czechia because he willed them to it. Not because anybody else designed anything. Not because there's any other creativity in the game. Not because coaches made any adjustments. No, because Connor Bedard wanted them to. Now, do I think he can put up 7 points against Sweden, Czechia, Finland in every game? No, of course not. It's not sustainable. They need players to step up, and they have players that can step up. That's one thing for Canada that you can look at the team and say, okay, we got Logan Stankoven, who I think scoring in that third period last night, it might have, to all of you, you might have turned the TV off, might have went to bed. It's an important goal for confidence. It's an important goal for feel, for touch, to have that going into bigger games, which Austria tonight is not one of those bigger games, but playing Sweden on New Year's Eve, having the sense to say, you know what, I can score here. I have touch. I feel good about my game. That's important. Scoring 4 5-on-5 goals last night, not enough. I mean, Canada went 7 for 10 on the power play last night. 7 for 10. And that's not going to happen either, because better teams have better penalty kills. And I also think coaches this morning at the World Juniors, you know what they're doing? They're pulling up game tape, and they're watching Connor Bedard and seeing what he's doing on the power play that's leading to Dylan Guenther open nets. But part of the problem that Canada, provides, part of the problem that is Canada, is that they have Bedard. But okay, you want to screw around? Olen Zellweger is so creative himself, and to me, Minus Bedard, he's their most important player because he does very little wrong. To me, he's a guy that he was cut in camp. He looks like an NHL player. I don't think he'll play long in the American League. His skating, his edge work, when you see him, if he does make a mistake at the line, he can get back and he'll make a good play. He'll get the puck back. He'll strip a guy from the puck. He'll engage physically if he has to. He's so dynamic. He doesn't make mistakes. But the way he exits out of zones, the way he's so free, he skates like a gazelle just up the ice to get there, get himself in good positions to have good scoring opportunities. It's a Bedard-Zellweger 1-2. Because on that power play, and just in general, okay, you want to double Bedard or you want to triple him, give that puck to Zellweger. He will shoot it. You'll get a tip, or he'll find Offman on the back door. He'll go to Gunther, or he'll just rip it himself. Because there are a lot of good defensemen in this tournament. Luke Hughes is a good player. Sladislav Svozil for the Czech Republic's a good player. I don't know if anybody's better than Owen Zellweger. Really, really good player. Another thing I'll say for Canada that I give them credit for, they made a change when it comes to, and I give credit to the coaching staff, I thought Joshua Wall would be elevated. I thought Joshua Wall would be elevated to the second line. I said that they should do that yesterday. I thought that was a good idea. Instead, they put him on the top line with Bedard and Logan Stankoven. I like the line. I think you got a grit worker bee in Waugh. You got the Wonder Boy in Connor Bedard. And Stankoven, who's kind of a jack of all trades, who's a great finisher, can also help you set up plays. He overpasses a little bit, where I think he could shoot the puck more, and he kind of makes plays a little more difficult. But I would stick with this line going forward. Keep Shane Wright with Gunther and Brendan Offman for now, because I think that's your top six forwards, and I don't see anybody really that's played their way into a promotion into that top six, quite frankly. Anybody else on the team? Colton Dock, Ovsichuk, these guys below, Nathan Gauthier, they've all just been there. They play, they get their shifts, they get off the ice. That's what I've seen from them so far. I see Walker in the comments. Were you a fan of the Slovakian upset over the U.S.? Yeah, I was at the game. I don't know if I was a fan of. I was, just a fan spectating. What I will say, Walk, is I watched Slovakia play Finland on Tuesday. Yeah, it's Thursday. And I thought their game plan going into the game was horrible. They came out flat. They allowed Finland to do whatever they wanted. They didn't fight them for pucks. And they had a great 10 minutes in the first period. But after that, they didn't continue to persist. They didn't check. They didn't clog up the neutral zone. Like, when you're a bad team, you got to play defensively. And you got to counterpunch. You got to counterattack. That's the only way you're going to win, because you're not as talented as these bigger teams. Last night, they had their game plan. And 5-on-5, they were by far the better team over the U.S. The U.S. had 2 power play goals last night, both scored by Tyler Boucher. Slovakia scored 1 power play goal, and they won the game 6-3. It was the 2-1, and one of my favorites, Dalibor Dvorsky, which if you're watching the tournament, he's number 15 for Slovakia. Remember that name. He's 17. He's got the full cage. He's like Bedard. They trust him to play in key situations. I'll get back to him in a second. But I love the way Slovakia approached the game. They started checking. They started pissing off the U.S. is what they did. They clogged up the neutral zone. They checked. And when they had an opportunity, they capitalized on it. They scored 3 goals in 3 minutes in the second period. Dvorsky in the power play. They had the winger go up and beat Maburka over the shoulder to make it 3-2. And then they had the crazy deflection goal by Mishar just moments later to make it 4-2. And they responded following a loss. They didn't dwell on the fact that I didn't think they played well at all against Finland. And they had a game plan. And Simon Nemec, who was a second overall pick in this past year's draft to the New Jersey Devils, I don't think he played great in the opener. Through about 25, 30 minutes of this game, I didn't think he played great. To mount the comeback, he was one of their most important players. He's number 7. And what was the key? I mean, he plays half the game, so he's got to be tired. He's playing. You're going to make more mistakes when you're playing. He's playing 27 minutes a night. But what impressed me about Nemec was he would be the one to throw a pass up that would make a quick exit out of the zone, or you see the counterpunch, and he would throw a quick pass up to a winger to start the process of putting pressure on the Americans. And he finished with 3 points last night, and they're all secondary assists. So it doesn't seem all that important, but he's the one that starts the play that leads to the goal. And that's where your plus minus is important, because you had an effect. When you're a +3 in a game and you didn't make that pass, you don't have an assist, you didn't have a block that went up and down the play, that's when plus minus means absolutely nothing. I try to explain this to my boomer parents about hockey, that plus minus is not a stat that matters unless you had an effect on the goal. If you just hopped on the ice, who cares? Okay, you're a plus. You did nothing to add to the team. A scout isn't going to care that you were a plus if you just hopped on the ice and you had good fortune. But Simon Nemec, he had a couple blocks in the game that were big too. And I think for Slovakia, they got a good little team. Peter Repsik has 3 goals. He's second in the tournament in goals. And all 3 of his goals have been interesting. 2 on the power play, and then he scored the goal last night where he was on a partial breakaway. Luke Hughes is chasing him down, shoots the puck, hits Maburko's pad, goes off of Luke Hughes' leg and into the back of the net. And for the Americans, this wasn't a typical American game. The U.S. are front runners, is what they are. These nations, some nations can come back. Like if Finland's down 4-1, I wouldn't count them out of a game. Same for Sweden. I just look at them and I think they have more of a passion. They have more heart than, and this will be aggregated, but if you can get a lead over the U.S., I think it's pretty safe. They play stupid hockey. They're down 4-2 last night, and Connors throws a late hit, dirty, and he gets ejected from the game, a 5-minute power play. And yes, Slovakia did not score on it, which the U.S. was fortunate, but it's 5 minutes you did not get to press. And in between that, Logan Cooley had started to have a couple good shifts because he was invisible before this. U.S. were starting to get some momentum, starting to feel better about themselves, I felt, in those shifts towards the end of the second period. And Connors takes this selfish, gutless penalty, and it just sucks the life out of your team. And when you don't have a whole lot of heart to begin with, because you're probably more embarrassed than anything else that you were down to the Slovaks, you expected to beat them like Canada defeated Germany last night, then it just all comes together and it's all a negative pot of crap. Logan Cooley, I wanted to watch him in person. He's third overall pick to Arizona last year. My notes on him. Number one, this is not a good thing to have. Selfish. Too many times last night, he takes the puck and he tries to get through 3 defenders. Make a better play. Come into the zone with numbers. You're not going to beat three guys to the net. You're not Bedard. You're not Connor McDavid. Or another selfish play for him, when he would get the puck, he would just shoot it. Every time he got it, she didn't look up, didn't see if there was a person in front of him, which there was a few times. He just shot the puck. Trying to get the glory, not trying to create, not trying to be a good teammate. I just felt he was a selfish player last night. It wasn't about the team. It wasn't about getting better. It was just him in the spotlight trying to have a moment. Whereas Tyler Boucher, I thought he had a really good first period. Then he kind of went quiet, which has been the knock on him. He's an Ottawa Senators first-round pick, playing for the Ottawa 67s. But he gets in front of the net. He's good. He's a big body. He's a physical guy. I thought he had a really productive first period, just checking and being around the puck. Luke Hughes played okay. It is good and bad moments. I think for Luke, he's pressing a little bit. He knows he's supposed to have a great tournament. And I've talked about this with Bedard, with Shane Wright. You're supposed to be, the superstar. You're supposed to be one of the best players in this tournament. And he is. But I think he's trying to do a little too much. I think he's trying to be over the top and just, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. You can jump into the rush, but not every play has to be you going down the ice. And I think that can get him in trouble because when defensively he can get beat, he can put himself into trouble. And, he had the misfortune of the puck going off his skate last night for the Repchick goal. But I still think he's a good player. I think he'll play better this evening. And for the U.S., they gotta. I think their decision was made last night. Trey Augustine is going to be their starting goaltender. Caden Maburko. Not every goal was his fault last night, but I think a few of them he wants back. The third goal that went over his shoulder was a good shot, but you got to make that save. The Dvorsky goal, I didn't see a lot of screen from the point. It was a great shot, and it beat him clean. But, Augustine won his first start. I don't think the U.S. is confident in either guy. Because Maburko was their starter this summer, and obviously they were out in the quarterfinals. I expect Augustine to start tonight against Switzerland. But so they have goaltending questions. Their best players haven't exactly been their best players. Cutter Gauthier, a player I like, didn't have a whole big impact in the game last night. He's going to have to be if they're going to start winning. Cooley, Gauthier for the U.S., those are two really important guys. They need to have more of an impact shift to shift, just be dominant. Go out there and make it so transparent that you're one of the best players on the ice. I don't think they did it at all last night. Top to bottom, the Americans' best player last night was Jack Pert, who really is impressive. He's the defensive partner of Luke Hughes, and he's bigger than I think you might. Looking at him on TV, I think he's bigger in person. Plays bigger anyway. He's not afraid to engage. Great skater. Really good edge work. I think he's just a smart hockey player. He doesn't make many mistakes. That's one thing I'll say about him. I just look at the guy and I think, wow, that's a guy that could play in the NHL. He's not going to be 80 points. He's not going to be somebody but you can't, there's never enough smart defensemen. There's never enough players that can just move the puck really well and make really good decisions with the puck. Jack Pert has that skill. But top to bottom, he was their best player. I don't think many of their forwards were all that great last night. Brindley, who didn't get enough shifts, in my opinion, was good. Number 5 for the Americans. But again, they scored 2 goals on the power play. 5-on-5. They were not a team that looked formidable. They outshot Slovakia. Okay, yeah, you're going to. You're a better team. But when it comes to getting high-quality scoring chances, I think Slovakia had better. And the Slovakian goaltender was phenomenal last night for them. So for the U.S., tonight's a big night. Normally you see Switzerland on the schedule and you're just, okay, pencil it in. They did that last night. Look how it worked out. This is the Moncton division currently in the World Junior Hockey Championship standings. Currently in first place, Switzerland with 4 points. Finland is tied for first with 4 points, but Switzerland beat them. Slovakia has 3 points. The Americans have 3 points, and Latvia has 1. It is a complete logjam. Each team with 2 games remaining. The U.S. plays Switzerland, and they play the Finns on New Year's Eve. Finland plays Latvia this morning, and they play the U.S. on Saturday. Switzerland plays the U.S. tonight and Slovakia on New Year's Eve. So there's a lot of different things that can happen here. This can be quite interesting. I think the Swiss and Slovakia are close. Both teams have their positive and negatives. One of them is going to win that game, right? We know that definitively. Meaning if the Swiss win that game cleanly, say the Swiss win that game in regulation, they will have 7 points. Then there's that game against the U.S. Can they find a way to get a point tonight again? Will they go to overtime? Could they pull off another upset? So Slovakia plays the Swiss and Latvia. So they play their 2 toughest opponents on paper so far. They've split it. Assuming they beat Latvia, that's 6 points. Maybe they can beat Switzerland. That's 9 points for Slovakia. Guess what? The U.S. can only get 9 points. So through all of this, I expect Finland to win today against Latvia, of course. So that would give them to 7 points. And to beat the U.S. on New Year's Eve, I think they could do that. So I expect Finland to win this group. I'll make that prediction right now. I think they'll finish with 10 points. I think they'll win their next 2 games and win the group. Finishing in second, I wouldn't rule out Slovakia. Because again, the U.S. could beat Switzerland tonight, which is fine. Which would give them 6. If Slovakia either defeats Switzerland, which would give them 6, and then defeats Latvia, which they are capable of, that would give them 9 points, leapfrogging the U.S., making Slovakia a 2 seed in this division. That would mean the U.S., if Switzerland does not get another point, which I'm not ruling out, Switzerland would have 4, and they would finish 4th in this group, Switzerland, after winning 2 games in the group, which is crazy. After winning 2 games in overtime, they would finish 4th. This Moncton division is complete anarchy. Switzerland beat Finland so far. Slovakia beat the U.S. so far. I'm not saying there's probably more upsets to come. I expect a response from the U.S. tonight. I expect them to come out and be the better team because they are. What do we know about Switzerland? We know they're pesky. They will play in every game. They have a set structure, and they don't deviate from it. Marco Bayer, their coach, has the team ready to play. Their big guns, Antilio Biasca, Despoint, Reichel, and on the back end, they know what they got to do. They know they got to step up and find a way to score a few goals tonight. Kevin Posh, their goaltender, has been very solid in the pre-tournament and the tournament so far. So he knows his job. With all that being said, who knows? Who knows? because I just think this division is wacky. And it's fun. Going to these Moncton games, to me, this division's been funner than Halifax. I'll be going to Halifax later in the tournament as it winds down. But to me, this division has been so entertaining because it's completely unpredictable. Each team has 2 games left, and there's no defined standings yet. I mean, if Switzerland wins their last 2 games, which, who knows? Could they defeat the U.S.? Could they grab a point? They could finish first in this division. Switzerland. Now, the law averages say the U.S. are a better team than Switzerland. They'll win this division, but through 2 games, the U.S. have played the 2, arguably on paper, the 2 worst teams in their division, and they've looked really lackluster. They were in tight against Latvia in the 3rd period, and they lose to Slovakia 6-3 last night. For their head coach, who looked completely fumed last night, his face was so red. He needs to get this team in line, and he needs to get them ready to play. Because I know Switzerland will be ready to play tonight. But that game should be fun. But this Moncton division is complete madness. No defined roles. Nothing concrete. It can go any which way still. And we are, 4 days into the tournament and still a lot to be decided. And it will come down to New Year's Eve, which is all you want. On the New Year's Eve games, it's Switzerland against Slovakia. That'll be an important game, guaranteed. And the second game will be Finland against the U.S., and that'll be an important game, guaranteed. So those are that's an excellent result for this tournament. And last night was awesome because they announced 6,600 people at the game. It felt like it. It was a packed barn. There was life in there. It was a good crowd. Really good crowd for the game. So I was stoked to see that as well. See people come out. Anything else I wanted to talk about on this game? No, I like Slovakia's play. Other games today. Finland and Latvia play at noon in Moncton. Latvia won't win this game, but I think they're better than both probably Germany and Austria. And they'll fight, they'll muck it up. They got pretty good goaltending as well, which is something they have going for them. And the team they brought in the summer, 18 of those players returned for this one. That's huge. When you're a small country, that you have that continuity, that you have the same players that were there before, in my mind, that's really important for just being ready to play in this event. So Latvia has 18 returning players. Finland played a really good second half of the game against the Slovaks on Tuesday. And I want to see how they come out today. And just like Brad Lambert, who I still think can be better. I thought he had a really good second half of the game. He scored a goal. He's only got 1 point in the tournament so far. He needs to be better if this team's going to go deeper in the tournament. But he kept seeming to find the puck a little more. But for Finland, your best players got to be your best players. Brad Lambert, Joakim Kemmel, Oliver Kapanen, Koivunen is another good player. Those guys need to be difference makers in the game. I haven't seen a defenseman on Finland that really I've loved yet. Hippo Salmi would be regarded as their best defenseman. He took 2 penalties on Tuesday that were kind of bad penalties. He needs to be on the ice for those moments he's taking, so he needs to stay out of the box. Maybe somebody will emerge, but I think they need to be aware of that weakness. You don't need to talk about it openly in the locker room. But if you play professional sports, if you play sports in general, you know what the weakness of your team is if you have any kind of a brain. unless you're the player that is the weakness, and then you rarely know because you don't want to admit it, or you don't know sports that well that you're not aware of your limitations as a player. So when you're playing, you have to look at it and say, guess what? We're not that great in this aspect of our game. We need to improve this. Or we need to help this area. We need to come back into our zone. Like Slovakia was playing early in the game last night looking for the stretch pass. No, that can't happen. Get back into your zone. Cover for your defenseman. Make it easier for exits because you're playing against you're playing against a more skilled team. So get back into your zone and be more prepared for that. They did. It worked out. Finland may need to adopt that, and you might have to skate a little longer to get the opposite end of the ice, but it's worth it if the puck stay out of your net. Second game on tap today, Czechia against Sweden at 2:30 in Halifax. Huge game today because you have 2-0 Czechia against 2-0 Sweden. And for Czechia, this is really a control your destiny game because if they beat Sweden today, to me it all but guarantees that they will win the Halifax group. Because they've beaten Canada already. They've beaten Austria. They beat Sweden clean. They beat them in regulation. That'll give them 9 points. And they play their last game of the tournament, I believe, on Saturday afternoon against Germany. They will beat Germany. Czechia will finish 4-0 and win the group. So for Canada, they are rooting for Sweden today. They're rooting for Sweden to win this game. So that would give Sweden 9 points going into their game on Saturday, because Canada plays Austria tonight. We'll talk about that in a second. But Sweden would have 9 points going in. Canada would have 6. And Czechia, I believe, would finish with 9. They would go 3-1. So hypothetically, you could have 3 teams with 9 points in this division, which is interesting. If Canada was to beat Sweden in regulation and all of that, if that's what happens, if that's what carries out, which I think it will. And then it would come down to goal differential and things. They have to go through that to figure out who wins the tiebreakers. But for Canada, that's their best route. If Sweden wins today and you win your rest of your games and you hope to have a better goal differential so you can get the top spot and play a weaker opponent in the quarterfinal. Because, like I said, the Moncton group is completely unknown. There's a chance Canada could finish third in their division. If Czechia was to go 4-0 and Sweden beats Canada on Saturday, Sweden would finish second with 9 points. Canada has 6. And Canada would be a third seed playing the number 2 on the other side, which could be a who-knows team. Could be anybody. It literally could be anybody. It could be the Americans. It could be the Swiss. It's a number of different teams. You want to have that control. You want to finish first, and then again, it could be any number of teams you play in the number 4 hole. But that's what's at stake here. When I size up this game, Sweden's look really good. To me, these two teams as teams have played really well. They have the 2 best goaltenders in the tournament so far, in Sukanik for Czechia, in Lindblom for Sweden. Both men will start today. Fabian Lysell has been, other than Bedard, the best forward in the tournament so far for me. Really dynamic. Every shift he seems to make an impact. So he's a star. He's playing in Providence right now. Isaac Rosen had a big game. And they shot the hell out of the Germans. And high-end talent-wise, Sweden is more talented than the Czechs. But the Czechs just play a really good team game, and they can frustrate you because they'll check you to death, no pun intended. And their defense moved the puck really well. Sadasas Fosil's got 5 points through 2 games. Jurček's got 4 points through 2 games. Spacek's got 4 points through 2 games. These are all defensemen for Team Czechia. Sukanik is going to be the difference today for me. Because Lindblom's been the best goaltender in the tournament thus far, but he's played the two worst teams in his division, Germany and Austria. So how good did he really have to be? Although I did think he made some really key, huge saves against the Germans. Because he faced over 30 shots himself. And in that last minute and a half, Germany was pressing, and he had to make a few key saves to keep them in the game. Keep that game at 1-0. I'm going to go with Czechia in this game. I think Czechia is going to win this division. I feel like they haven't medaled in a long, long time at this tournament. And I think they have a good enough team to medal. I don't think this team has a whole lot of weaknesses. Kulich is one of their better forwards. He's starting to score goals. Klemar is scoring. Shapovalov is contributing. He's got 4 points through 2 games. I think they find a way to win this game. It'll definitely be viewed as a major upset to see a team Czechia win this group. But I think they beat, and the only saving grace for Canada today is if, I'm trying to think. So if Czechia wins today, so even if Czechia wins today and say overtime, they'll get 2 points. So they'll have 8. Then they play the Germans. They'll win that one. They'll have 11. So Canada or Sweden would not be able to. If Czechia wins the game today in any manner, overtime, shootout, etc., they will win this group. And I think they win the game today. I think they beat Sweden. I think it'll be a good goaltending battle. But I think we'll know a lot more about Sweden today, because I think they have one of the 2 best goaltenders in the tournament so far, just because there's so much just unknown. I mean, Canada, I'm not confident in their goaltending yet. I think that's still up in the air. The Americans, as I touched on, completely, who the hell knows what's going on there. The Slovakian netminder was very solid last night in the win. Thought he was very good at times. Made a few key saves. Kevin Posch for Switzerland's been solid. He's been very good. But looking at teams that can really go on to win the gold medal, these 2 goaltenders have stood out so far. So that's my key today, is who can get past the other one more. I'm going to go with Czechia to win today against Sweden. Switzerland, U.S. at 5 o'clock. I'll be attending that game. We've touched on that, kind of the game breakers there and what I expect. I think the Americans win tonight. I think the Americans will come back and win tonight. They had their upset loss. I think what I want to see from them is what Canada did last night. Canada won the game 11-2, and they played a bad opponent, yes. But you saw them be so tenacious to get the puck. They were like rabid dogs. They were not going to let Germany even possess it. They chased people around the ice. They were physical. They were just manhandling their opponent. I want to see the U.S. come out tonight and just say, you know what, we're faster than you. We're more skilled. We're going to go take the puck. And my advice for the U.S. tonight, Switzerland's not a big team. Hit them. Hit them. Make them not want to go into the corner. Make them not want to check you. Make them not want to take up the neutral zone, because it's going to be a physical effort to get there. If you can break their will a little bit early, it'll be easier to get through the neutral zone, to have more time and space for the U.S. skilled players to ultimately make a difference. And the final game of the day is Canada-Austria at 7:30 tonight in Halifax. I mean, this is going to be a blowout. We all know that. Austria is the worst team in the tournament. Canada won 11-2 last night. I don't know what kind of score it's going to be tonight, but I think it'll be more than 11-2. I think this will be one of those. They had a game against Germany. If you recall in the bubble when Tim Stützle, JJ Peterka, that team, they beat Germany like 18-3. It was something really bad. It was an embarrassing. Germany had a number of players out due to COVID, so they had a short bench, and Canada won, I believe, 18-3. If Canada really wants to, get ready for the semifinal. So for the game on New Year's Eve against Sweden, I think they could score 20 tonight if they really wanted to. I think it'll be that easy. Because I haven't seen much life from those Austrian goaltenders in the first 2 games, giving up 21 goals in 2 games. Not to mention, Austria, I think, will play their worst goaltender tonight, and here's why. They know their final game of the tournament is against Germany. They have to win that game. They want to avoid relegation. And I think going in, they know our biggest game of the tournament, the only game that matters really on our schedule, is Germany. We need to find a way to beat this team, make the quarterfinal, go get pounded by Finland, whoever else, but be able to stay in Division 1 and go play in Sweden next year at the 2024 World Junior Hockey Championships. That's what these Western nations, that's all they care about. It's about survival. It's about staying in Division 1. It's not about winning a medal. It's not anything. For Austria, that's all it's about. Continue development, continue to play at these higher division. Because the team's going to get relegated. They don't want it to be them. Norway won the Division 2. They're being promoted for next year. So I expect Austria to start their second or even third string goaltender tonight. And they want to win tomorrow. Yeah, the game's tomorrow against Austria. Tomorrow's the important game. Tomorrow's the game for Austria that means something. So I think if Canada really wants to screw around, I think they could win 20-0 tonight if they really wanted to. But tonight's game will not answer any goaltending questions for Canada. The first goal allowed by Milic last night was not a good one. It was a weak goal. The goal that made it 1-1 was a squeaker right there. You got to make that save. So I think Canada still has that goaltending questions. I think he'll start the quarterfinal because I think Gaudreau looks so brutal in the opener against Czechia that you're not going to go back to him. But for tonight, score some 5-on-5 goals for Canada. You're scoring 7 out of 10 on the power play last night, which is unheard of. It's unbelievable. It's great. But at the same time, score some 5-on-5. Get some confidence with those lines. Bottom 6 forwards, try to produce a little bit. So you're going to get nothing out of beating Austria 20-0 tonight, whatever the score might be. But try to play a little bit better 5-on-5. So we got on the line a guy who's been following the World Juniors about as closely as I am, and I know he's on the road tomorrow to get to the event. It's our good buddy, Matt Wright. Merry Christmas. Good to see you. How are things, my friend? Oh, I can't hear you. Just a second here.
Hello.
Oh, gotcha. Here we go. Perfect. There we are. Can you hear me? Oh, you're on mute here. Writer's just, we're gonna. Oh, I can hear you. All right. Can you hear me?
All right. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, you're all staticky.
Oh, geez. I'm not sure what's going on here, buddy. Not sure. I'm gonna disconnect and try to get back in. All right.
Okay, sounds good. We'll let him do that. Sound like Darth Vader there on the other line. That's a good laugh for the morning. But yeah, it's Canada is they got this game tonight. the tournament's been fantastic. That's my main takeaway is I think the tournament's been really, really good. And I'm looking forward to Switzerland, U.S. tonight. And when Ryder joins, I'm looking forward to asking what players have really been standing out to him, because obviously I've been talking about it and I've been watching every game, but I also want to get his thoughts on what players he coaches. He's got an eye for talent, so I want to get his thoughts on who have really been standing out for him, for Canada, for other teams. And then we will transition into some NFL talk, because there's a lot going on in the NFL right now. There's the AFC East is in complete anarchy. Derek Carr, one of Ryder and I's favorite quarterbacks, was benched yesterday by the Las Vegas Raiders. And then he said, he has to be granted a leave of absence. He's going to be away from the team the final 2 games. So essentially, to me, he's done with the Las Vegas Raiders. And here's what happens with his contract. If they opt in this year, he's got 3 years left on his deal. So I don't think they're not going to opt in. They're going to let him go. Derek Carr will be elsewhere next season, so Las Vegas will be looking for a new quarterback. But there's also, the whole Zach Wilson of it all with the Jets. I don't know if he'll be with the team next year. Ryan Tannehill, Aaron Rodgers. Here, Matt Wright's back. We'll see if we got him. We got you this time.
I hope so.
Oh, you're staticky again.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to try to unplug my AirPods and let's see if that works.
Okay. Because it's funny.
Hello.
I got you. Can you hear me? No, might not work today with the connection. It's usually my fault on my end, but it just sounds like a bad connection today, because I can hear him on this end. So at least it's not my fault, because normally it's my communication that sucks, because I suck at technology. So at least I'm happy about that. It's not all my fault. Here we go. Do we got you?
I don't think it's gonna work, buddy.
No? Okay. All right.
Don't
Okay.
know. So.
All right. Well, no problem. Thanks for coming on. We can hear him, but for some reason it's not working on his end. That's fine. He's a busy guy himself, so I appreciate him. I know he's attending. I know he's going to Halifax tomorrow. He was telling me, so I don't know if he's going to the Germany-Austria game. He's not. I'm not sure if he's going to the Germany-Austria game, but he's going to the game on New Year's Eve, and so that should be fun. Canada, Sweden, New Year's Eve, and I bought his tickets for the quarterfinal games on Monday. So good buddy sells me his tickets, so I'm going to that game because of Matt Wright. So thank you to Matt Wright. And, that stuff happens. Bad connection today. No problem. Thank you, Ryder, for making the effort as always. And happy New Year, my friend. But I'm here. I'm still here. Let's start with the AFC East. I want to talk about AFC East this morning. We're going to do Big Money Friday tomorrow, so we'll do every line for the NFL games tomorrow. But I want to talk about some stories. So I touched on it briefly yesterday, but Tua Tagovailoa was diagnosed with a concussion for the 3rd time this season, and this happened at a game I attended against the Green Bay Packers in Miami, Florida. I'll be honest, he didn't get hit very hard in that game. I didn't see a huge hit that really my radar went up. But Tua got his 3rd concussion of this season. He is out this weekend against the New England Patriots for the game in Foxborough on Sunday, meaning Teddy Two Gloves, Teddy Bridgewater, will be the starting quarterback. I'll get to that minutia in a second. I want to talk about Tua. He's coming off a game where he had 3 interceptions. His worst game, you could argue, as a pro. They throw that game away. But now he's got another concussion. And, we're getting into that time now where the conversation has to start is, can Tua play football anymore? And in the past, 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, players would just be playing. It would be players would play with multiple concussions. Brett Favre did it, and it wasn't talked about. But now with CTE rising and just the pure violence and the risks, we know about concussions. We know how many people have. We've seen guys in the National Hockey League have to leave the sport because of concussions. Brian Little, Michael Furland of the Vancouver Canucks had to leave the game at age 26 because he had so many concussions he just couldn't stay on the ice anymore. These are just recent athletes. 3 concussions in one season is a scary thing. And in life, you want to be able to control and you want to be able to make your own decisions. You want to say, hey, I want to play football, I'm going to continue to play football. That's the perfect world. But in 2020, almost 2023, that's not the world we live in. You don't get to make that decision. And to me, doctors are here for a reason. I think doctors, for the most part, are very good at what they do. I think a doctor is going to give you a second, third chance vis-a-vis Tua this season. He played multiple games and then he got a third concussion. And I'm not saying Tua's career is over. I think he's going to play again in the NFL. But how many more concussions before we say, am I comfortable watching this guy go out there again? And I know as NFL fans, we all will be like, whoa, it's football, go out there, play hard. But it's about the long-term future of this athlete. And Dolphins fans, NFL fans, this isn't about his play. This isn't about, okay, he's a bust quarterback. This is about a human being and him having head issues. To me, the smart decision is for the doctor to sit down with Tua and to sit down with his family and be like, this is the risk here. 3 concussions in one season is a lot. That's not normal. That's not healthy. I'm not sure if he's in the league that much longer. Because again, the league isn't as physical as it used to be at all. He's a brittle quarterback to begin with. He's had surgery on both hips already from college injuries. So he's a battered guy. He's not built very strong. He's kind of a string bean, and he's getting thrown around in the game where the NFL is less physical than it ever has been. So that's that aspect. This coming weekend, Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback. Well, the Dolphins are 8-7, and technically they're still in the playoffs. Patriots are 7-8. So if the Patriots beat the Dolphins this weekend, they will pass them for the final playoff spot in the AFC. The New England Patriots offense is awful. They bring nothing to the table, but something that New England does is their defense is phenomenal. Josh Uche and Matthew Judon have the most combined sacks in the NFL. I see Matt Wright join back. We'll see if we get it this time.
Hey, buddy, you got me here?
I got you.
All right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Having some laptop trouble this morning here. I apologize.
No problem at all. Good to hear from you. How was Christmas? How was everything in the home front for you?
Christmas was good. It was good to spend some time with my family, my girlfriend's family, her family. As you know, just a lot of family stuff.
Yeah.
Relax a little bit and then kind of get back into the swing of things yesterday and just kind of getting back on the ice with some kids yesterday and then back on here this afternoon and then off to Halifax, as you know, tomorrow for the World Juniors. So it was nice to relax, kind of fighting a little cough here right now. I think we all are kind of a little under the weather. So hopefully feel better for tomorrow, but looking forward to getting down watching some hockey this weekend.
Are you going to the game tomorrow night in Halifax?
Yeah, we're going to go tomorrow night to one game, and then we're going to go do two on the 31st.
Right. What have you made of the tournament so far?
I think it's been a great tournament. I think you look at the upsets in the pool in Moncton. That pool's up for grabs for anyone, really.
Yeah.
Every one of those games has been, for the most part, close games, exciting games. Really, the only blowout, we've had 2 blowouts, and I think at this point in the tournament to only have 3 blowouts, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of talk around Bedard, which is, for good reason, what he's doing offensively. His skill offensively is so good. What he does moving the puck, I don't think he gets enough credit for his passing ability.
Yeah.
When you have 2 unreal options, when they take away one option and your secondary option is still as elite as his is, it's always nice to have that secondary option that would for him is that passing ability.
Other than Bedard, any players standing out for you across the tournament?
You know what? It's good to see Shane Wright having some success as a leader, as a captain. I mean, obviously he's not lighting the lamp, but he's still putting up over a point a game. It's been a lot of negative around Shane Wright, I'd say, the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. So to have some positive around him and just to be that maybe not the focal point of the tournament is kind of a good thing for him, I think, just to find a role. Gunther's been good. I mean, he gets open, he finds areas to get pucks, retrieve pucks. To me, Josh Roy, mm-hmm. He has been just a spark plug for Canada. You see, he's got skill. He's a workhorse. He gets to the open areas. Actually, all the guys from the queue, I honestly have really impressed me. Gauthier, they got some players. Canada, that they're still a little sloppy in their own end. I don't want to, even though they beat Germany as bad as they did, they still didn't look great when they were in their own end. I think that's on their back checks. Their tracking needs to be a little bit better. I think in their own end, just puck awareness. It was better against Germany, but I mean, they weren't in their own end much against Germany. They up 2. I'm looking forward to the game I'm going to see against Sweden. I think tonight's going to be a blowout. Again, I don't think you're going to see much from Austria. To me, it's going to come down to the Sweden game to see how they play in their own end and how they transition pucks.
Yeah, for me, right too. At 5-5, I don't think they've been that great. They scored 7 power play goals last night, and yeah, you get 4 5-on-5. But to me, I want to see more from them 5-on-5 consistently because you're not going to get 10 power plays against Sweden.
No, you're not. You're not going to draw those. And like you said, they haven't been good 5-on-5. They've been very average at best 5-on-5. Even last night against Germany, their 5-on-5 played. Yeah, they had a few more shifts where they controlled the puck, but they didn't dominate 5-on-5.
No, that second period was really misleading because they scored 5 goals in seemingly 3 minutes, but it was 4-1 for the majority of that second period.
Yeah, no, like you said, 5-on-5 play is going to be so important for them, especially because it's a crapshoot at who they're going to play in the quarterfinals. Right.
Yeah.
With what's going on in the other division, they're not getting an easy game in the quarterfinals, no matter who they play. So they need to get better 5-on-5. Hopefully, we're going to see more. I don't think we're going to see much of that tonight. It's nice to see a 0 on the board at the end of the night. I think that would be a good goal for the team to have to go in, putting up, not giving up a goal tonight. But we've seen upsets in this tournament. I'm not saying it's going to happen tonight, but you never know.
Czech Sweden this afternoon. Who do you think wins that game?
I think it's going to be a great hockey game.
Yeah.
I think it's hard not to say Czech. Honestly, the way they've been playing, they've looked like the best team in the group. So I think you have to kind of give, even though Sweden's more of a household name, I think you have to say that, to me, Czech probably. The one thing, Sweden was able to rest some of their bigger guys the last game when they got up. I know Germany gave them a tough go. The Czech Republic just seems to play very well as a team. Right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the edge to the Czechs.
Same here. Yeah, I think they'll win. And the thing is, right, if they win today, they're going to win the group because they got Germany left. So they'll go 4-0, and Canada and Sweden, your game Saturday, will be a battle for second place.
Yeah, And as weird as it is, you could finish third and you could match up with the Slovaks in the quarter. Weird, but that's what's great about the tournament this year is that it's very unpredictable. And unpredictability is great when you're hosting tournaments because that's what you want. You want every game to mean something and every game to matter.
Yeah, I was at that Switzerland-US game last night, and I think there were 6,600 people they announced, and it's awesome. It's great to – I like that it's in a junior barn too. For me, it's great. You have it at the Air Canada Centre in Montreal, whatever. But it's a junior tournament. Have it in a junior barn. I like that it's back, and it's just I feel the buzz around the Maritime. Like people are excited that it's here. 20 years and everything. I think it's been a big success so far.
Yeah, absolutely, it has been, and you don't need the 15,000 seat, 20,000 seat rink, other than the Canada games. If you're in Canada,
Right.
This way, you're drawing 6,000, 7,000 people, 8,000 people for every game. Like that's what you want. You want games where the stands are full, not empty, when you're hosting a tournament. So
Right.
This is great, and I hope that it continues. I hope they continue to put it in junior barns. We'll see how that goes over the next 8 to 10 years. I know they're overseas next year, which is kind of great that they're getting back to going overseas too. I think as much as I love the World Juniors, it's taken, I think, too much of a North American feel over the last 10 years. So as happy as I am that it's here in Atlantic, Canada, I'm pumped to go watch some games tomorrow. I'm happy to see that's going back overseas, I think, next year. So it's good to have that good mix of both. But yeah, every game's been exciting, and I'm looking forward to getting down and watching some games. I've been seeing so many people watching games from my seats, and I haven't been in them yet. So I'm looking forward to catching some games tomorrow and Saturday.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go to football in the AFC East in this crazy division. I want to start with your Patriots because they're 7-8. They still have a good chance of making the playoffs because the Dolphins now, so they're still in that mix. But I think you'll agree with me. I don't think the Patriots are good whatsoever. I don't think they're a good team. Defensively, they are, but you don't have a quarterback. The only thing he does well is throw cheap hits on people. But I want to have a bigger chat about what should Kraft do this offseason. Do you think there's a realistic chance that Belichick is not back as the New England Patriots head coach next year?
I don't see him not coming back. I think you don't like to use the word tenure. I know profs go for it a lot in university trying to get tenure. I think Kraft has tenure. Belichick. I think he's going to be there until he wants to leave. Has he been a great coach this year? No. Their coaching staff has let them down in games. They've lost games this year because of coaching. Whether it's more offensively than defensively.
Yeah.
But coaching has not been good this year. But do I think he returns? Yes, I do think he returns. I think there would have to be multiple years like this for him not to return. And I know the Patriots are, have been in the past, a dynasty team and have been, the mark of excellence in the league. And as bad as they've been this year, and I think they are a bad team, they're still in the playoff race. So do I think he returns? Yes. Do I think if another year like this happens, do I think next year you could see him be removed at the end of next year? Yes, I could see that, but it'd have to be another year like this or worse than this.
Okay. Could you see Kraft hiring a GM and Belichick no longer being the person picking their players?
Well, to me, I think that should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
We've seen the Patriots are not good at drafting. The Patriots say they're good at drafting because they drafted Tom Brady.
Right.
That was a luck. That was, that's one pick, 20 years ago, whatever it is. The Patriots have historically been terrible at drafting. We talk about it every year, even when you're excited about a pick like Mac Jones. I was excited about the Mac Jones pick. That hasn't really turned out the way I was hoping for. I know a lot of Patriots fans are hoping for. But historically, the Patriots have been terrible at drafting. And do I think they need to get a GM? Yes. I think Belichick should focus on the coaching.
Yeah.
And get away from trying to have his hands on everything because it hasn't worked. And I think you're going to see a new offensive coordinator probably at the end of this year. So I think you see a new OC and hopefully a GM.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that has to happen. Like, if you're not going to remove him as head coach, he can't pick the players anymore because the team they're the same every year. They're always 7, they're like 9-8, in that mix, and they're just never going to be better than the Bills or get back to where they once were the way they're going. Now that Tua has been diagnosed with his 3rd concussion of the season, which is pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
You must feel pretty confident going into this game Sunday with Teddy Two Gloves in at quarterback for the Fish.
Yeah, I am, because it's in New England.
Yeah.
It's going to be cold. I still think the Fish have a really good team. I think offensively, you look at Tyreek Hill, you look at Waddle, like they have 2 of the top receivers in the league right now. So are they dangerous? Absolutely, they are dangerous. Do I think this is a game that if the Patriots lose, it's an upset? Yeah, I do think it's kind of an upset because I think the Patriots should win this football game. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know, because the Patriots have found a way to lose games, not win games this year. But to me, if they lose this game, I think the writing's on the wall for Mac Jones. I think this is one, if you're Mac Jones as the quarterback, you have to win this football game. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you want to have a job next year, you have to win this game.
Yeah, because even if they win and lose next week, I think they could still get in, because if the Jets lose this weekend and the Jets, even if the Jets finish 8-9 and the Patriots finish 8-9 or potentially or whatever it would be, the Patriots hold the tiebreaker because they beat the Jets twice. So you could see, because I don't expect the Patriots to beat the Bills next week, and it'll be a big game for the Bills either way, because they got the Bengals on Monday night, which is a spicy little Monday night game to finish the year. But they'll be playing for something. Zach Wilson. I'm sure you watched some of that game last Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen a quarterback play worse, and I've seen Russell Wilson play lately. I can't see him back with the Jets next year. I know it's only his 2nd year under his contract, but I don't think he's with the Jets at the start of next year. What say you?
They're trading him for 10 cents on the dollar. The fan base doesn't want him back. It's a spicy meatball down there right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are running him right out of town. And that shows sometimes the New York media, man. You get on their bad side. You get on the bad side of a fan base in New York, and it's tough to get out of. He needs to change. I think the Jets want to change. It's tough because, like you said, that's the second overall pick that you drafted 2 years ago. Like, to give up on him, that's tough to do. But at the same time, like, the fans don't want him there. He is set up for failure, not set up for success. So, to me, I think he needs to move on. I think it'd be better for both parties.
Right.
I still think it's only in his 2nd year, right? So let's not write the guy completely off, but it hasn't looked good. He's looked awful. And awful might be saying it politely.
So let's say Zach Wilson, Mac, Tua. How many quarterbacks are on the respective teams right now at the start of next year?
I think Tua for sure. I don't know. I know you were at the game. Obviously, something was wrong. I don't want to. It's tough because you don't want to say those throws were because he was concussed. I don't want to get into that. I know. It's hopefully he gets healthy. That's all we can say there.
Yep.
Hopefully he gets healthy. I think that they're going to give him. He's got the starting job when he returns. He's done enough this year, I think, to at least warrant coming back as their starter.
Right.
I think Wilson's out, like we just talked about, and Mac Jones, he can't throw the ball, man. Like to be a quarterback, you have to be able to throw the ball more than 20 yards, and he's shown that he cannot do that. Like, is he good at managing the game? Yeah, he is, but he can't make throws downfield. So It's so easy for defense to just not. It's easy for defenses to stop them because He can't throw the ball downfield. He has not shown that. If I'm the defense, I'm just moving my safeties up and I'm blitzing all day on him because he throws downfield. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. This game, like we said, this game is huge for the Patriots because to see if Mac Jones gets back next year.
Yeah, agreed. How about our buddy Derek Carr, who got benched yesterday by Josh McDaniels, and really, I think this signals his exit from Las Vegas. He asked for time away from the team the last 2 games. They could opt out of his deal after this year instead of giving him a 3-year extension. I still think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He's had a bad year, but he's gone through a lot of crap in Vegas. I still don't think the team's great in front of him. I think he needs a reset, and I'm kind of happy for him that I think he's going to get one.
Me and you both feel the same way about Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a great quarterback. Do I think he's elite? No, but I think
he's fringe top 10.
Fringe top 10.
Yeah.
And even when he has a bad game, he's still in the top 20. Like, to me, he's a good quarterback, and there's not many of them in the league. So the fact that he's going to become available for a team this year, I mean, as a Patriots fan, I'd love to see Derek Carr there. But, I mean, we just talked about a team. The New York Jets should be all over this guy.
Right.
They should be all over him. They should do everything in their power to get this guy because they have shown they like their coach. They have good players. Their players are developing. They have good systems. They have a good football team. They need a quarterback. So to me, it's just 2 + 2 = 4 here. Like, don't overthink it. If you're the Jets, go after this guy.
100%. Because I would rather have Derek Carr than Tom Brady right now. If you're the Jets, just as I think I could see Tom Brady with the Jets next year potentially.
I would, if I'm the Jets, I would rather Derek Carr than Tom Brady. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's tough to say because you know me, I'm a Brady guy, but I would rather Derek Carr right now than Tom Brady for next year.
Have you ever seen Tom Brady play worse than he has, say, the last 3-4 weeks? It's been a tough watch.
He is just missing throws.
Yeah.
He's just doing things he's never done before. He's missing passes that I've never seen him miss. Is he still top 20 in the league? Yeah, he is. He's falling out of it pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
He's still good enough to be in the league, but it's showing that, I mean, Father Time never loses.
Yeah.
Father Time's undefeated. So, and it's showing that, he's not as good as he used to be. And, I mean, the guy's closing on 50 years old. What is he, 47 years old, 48 years old? Like, he's no spring chicken. Like, he's played in the league for over 20 years. Like, but it's tough to see because he doesn't have it right now. And everything just seems to be off with that team. They can't put the ball downfield. No,
they can't throw a 20-yard pass. They can't have any explosive. That game against Arizona was so painful, and I watched the whole damn thing.
I turned it off at half. That's how bad it was. I went to bed.
That's a smart decision. I didn't. I watched the whole damn overtime too, with Trace McSorley missing passes by 85 feet. Ryan Tannehill, see what the Titans at the beginning of next year.
Here's the thing. I think some of these guys are yes because we look around just how much bad quarterbacking has been going on this year.
Right.
After Carr, I don't know. I guess you could say Baker Mayfield maybe out there potentially.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield must be loving life right now. He wants the rest of the league, like guys just to be struggling because he's going to find a job next year.
Yep.
I think Jacoby Brissett probably finds a job somewhere next year.
Right.
But is Tannehill?
His roster sucks, Ryder. His roster sucks.
He's got no one to throw to, man.
He's kind of like Daniel Jones. Like what Daniel Jones is doing this year is more impressive because of how bad that Giants roster is.
Yeah, I guess it's one thing to say that you see that there's not a lot of top end quarterbacks, but I think you can say that there's not a lot of top end receivers. And you see on the teams that have good receivers how much of a difference it makes to have a good wide receiver. So there's some teams that just don't have anyone to throw to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say Tennessee's definitely one of them.
100%. Do you expect the Jags to win that division?
I do. I think the way the Jags have been playing, I mean, you must love seeing the Jags. My
Jags.
dad actually, I honestly think like he's been just so disgusted with the Patriots the last couple of years, not because they're not winning, just the way that they're playing, and just the decisions within the management and everything we've talked about before.
Right.
Turning into a Jags guy. He loves the Jags. The other day he goes, man, I can't wait for the game this weekend. I was like, yeah, Patriots, play. And he goes, no, not Patriots, the Jags. What are you talking about? So obviously your love for the Jags is starting to spread, because my dad is liking the Jags, and
he loves the Prince.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is looking.
He looks good.
Man, it shows how much he needed a different coach, doesn't it? And how much coaching matters.
Yes.
Coaching matters, and coaching, developing players. Just because you get to the NFL doesn't mean, or in any sport, doesn't mean that your development stops.
Right.
You have to keep getting better. You have to keep developing. And that's why coaches coaching in the NHL or the MLB or the NFL, whatever it may be, they are the best at their job for a reason. Because they know how to develop players. They know how to put systems in place. They know how to coach. And what you can see is he's getting coaching this year, and he's developing. He's an elite talent that's getting elite coaching, and it's showing on the field.
Could they win a playoff game?
Absolutely, they could.
Do you think if they played the Chargers, you think they could beat them?
I don't think yes, I do.
Me too.
Me too. I think the Jags are better than the Chargers right now.
Yeah, that game Monday night, that was an ugly game too. Because the Chargers, they should have won that game by 40 points.
They should have smoked them, and they really barely got by.
Yeah.
I didn't like what I was hoping for more out of the Chargers in that game than what we saw.
Right. What else do I want to go? Oh, Denver. Denver fires Nate Hackett.
Yeah.
I think we've come to the conclusion, Ryder, that Russell Wilson's just not a very good guy. Because if everybody can't stand him, it can't just be everybody else is wrong and Russ is right. Because every teammate's going at it. It's not just Richard Sherman anymore. It seems to be the radius does not like this guy.
Not everyone in sports is going to be a great guy, Jug. It is, you want them to be. You want, but, I've played with some assholes, excuse my language. I've played with assholes, right? I've, and that's at the minor hockey level, junior hockey, university hockey. It's the same thing when you get to pro. But at any level, you can put up with the guy who's kind of an a-hole when he's the best player on your team and he's making things happen, because there's not much else you can do.
Right.
But as soon as that guy becomes back to the rest of the pack, man, the wolves come out quick, don't they?
Yeah.
If a guy's being an a-hole to me and he's leading the team, I'm just not going to talk to him, but there's not much you can do. But when a guy's barking at you and he's playing like crap and he's an a-hole from everything we see, he's just not a good guy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I've never met Russell Wilson, so I can't. I'm only speaking from what it looks like. But if it looks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck. And you could tell he got sacked and his offensive line was pumped. It looked like not the Sandlot. It looked like the Adam Sandler movie, the longest yard, where they let him go through and it gets sacked. That's what it looked like.
If you're Sean Payton, do you want that job?
Yeah, because you're going to get paid a lot of money. You
Right.
are going to get paid a lot of money. Their owner is filthy rich. Yes, I think you want the job. I don't know, because Russell Wilson is just, I don't know. The culture there is not good.
Russell Wilson, I don't know.
But if you're a coach who thinks you can change that culture, then yes, you want the job, because it is an organization that has a lot of money, that does a lot in their community, that has a great fan base. I think it is still a desirable job, but I don't know if it's a job you want with Russell Wilson as your quarterback.
Yeah, I
think you're kind of stuck to him right now, aren't you?
Yeah, you can't get rid of the money. It's on the books, so you are stuck with him. Because I was thinking about Sean Payton the other day, and I think he wants the Chargers job. I still think the Chargers could fire Brandon Staley. Say if they lost in early to the Jags, I still think they would consider that. Because I think other than that, I think the Carolina job's not that bad of a job. I think, yeah, they don't got a quarterback, but they can draft one. There's a lot, like you said, there's Derek Carr out there. There's going to be some veterans. I think their team's pretty talented. And look what they've done through this year with all the crap that's come on across their table. And yet they win this weekend against the Bucs. They're going to make the playoffs. I think that's a job that isn't that bad.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the hardest thing to do as coach is to change culture. And I don't think there's really a culture change that's needed in Carolina. I just think they need to get a few more better players.
Right.
Have the roster. But I mean, like you said, they're still could make the playoffs, which is, let's be honest, they're not a good team. It's just that division. But the Carolina, if you had to pick between the three jobs right now that you talked about,
yeah,
the more I think about it, I think I would take Denver last, just because
the
Chargers job, you're going to get a good quarterback with Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carolina, you're given a couple years there where you don't have to win a Super Bowl in year one. I think you get a little bit of time to kind of build your systems and your culture and how you want to, put your footprint on an organization.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think in Denver, you're going in and it's like you have to change things right away. And if there's not success, drastic change in culture and success right away, that you're on the hot seat as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think the more kind of we talk about it, I think Denver would be the least desirable out of the three, even though you're probably going to make the most money there.
Yeah. I think Sean Payton's probably going to get $8 to $10 million wherever he goes, because he kind of holds that power right now. What game's the most interesting for you this coming weekend?
It's a good question. I'd say the one, honestly, not this weekend, but next weekend between the Jacksonville game, the following weekend is the one I'm really looking at. This weekend,
is that going to be Sunday Night Football? Jags Titans.
I think they will move it to the last game of the year. I think they have to.
That's funny.
Yeah, which at the start of the year, I don't think we saw that happening.
No.
This week for me, though, it is the Patriots game, just because they still have a chance to make the playoffs.
Right.
As the season has been, if they win this game, they're probably more than 50% chance of getting in. So to me, it is the Patriots game, and I think that they should win the game. So we'll see. Anything can happen, in the NFL, and Miami has a better team. So we're going to see what happens there. But for me, this week, it is the Patriots game.
Could you see the Steelers squeaking in? They got the Ravens Sunday night, and then they got Cleveland to finish. They win. They will be 9-8.
Coaching, coaching right there. You got to. Pittsburgh does not get enough credit. I'm starting to drink the Kool-Aid on their coaching.
Mm-hmm.
They have great coaching in place at every level. From the top down, they develop players. And you're seeing that they have a culture, and we're using the word culture and development. But you see the difference between teams that know how to develop and have good culture and teams that don't.
Right.
And Pittsburgh is the spot you want to go play football, because you want to go play for Mike Tomlin. You want to go play for their coaching staff. If they make the playoffs, I mean, to me, he's coach of the year, I think. There's a few guys to go get coach of the year.
Yeah. Do you think they'll give it to like a front runner who had a great year, say like an Andy Reid or something, or maybe even Sean McDermott if Buffalo wins? Or do you think they'll give it to like a Brian Daboll? Because the Giants who played the Colts this weekend, I believe with a win, they make the playoffs. We talked about that roster already. I mean, that's a good case for Daboll to win it. Just looking at the Daniel Jones Reclamation Project, and for them to go say 9-6, they'll be 9-6-1 if they win this weekend. That's a pretty damn impressive season as well.
Yeah, I'd also look at Peterson in Jacksonville.
Yep.
There's a few guys. There's 5 or 6 guys to me. Tomlin, Peterson, Daboll. I can't believe I'm saying, even though Minnesota's defense looks terrible.
Kevin O'Connell, yeah.
Throw him in the mix too, like with the season they've had. I don't really want to, but you can. There's a number of coaches who have done a great job this year, and there's some who haven't. And it definitely shows every year. But I think this year is more focused than ever, I'd say, on just the lack of coaching, and then showing when the good coaches, the cream is kind of rising this year for sure.
Should Justin Jefferson be on MVP ballots?
Yes, he should. He is incredible.
Unreal.
He is incredible. He is fun to watch. He makes Kirk Cousins look even better, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He makes Kirk Cousins look good. And Kirk Cousins is a decent quarterback, but he makes Kirk Cousins look better. Yeah, he should be on MVP votes. It's the receiver's never going to get on. I mean, look at what Cooper Kupp did last year, and he wasn't really in the mix for MVP. Yeah.
If he breaks the record, which I think he will, because he needs to only average like 125 yards the last 2 games.
Yeah.
If he breaks the all-time receiving record by Megatron, and Hurts say he doesn't play the last 2 games, so Mahomes is in there for sure. Jefferson, I don't know how he isn't one of the 3. I don't see.
I agree, but I don't think he's going to win it because we haven't seen a receiver win it. Jeez, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I hope he is, because he's had one hell of a year.
Does Green Bay beat Minnesota this week?
Green Bay, there's a good game. Mm-hmm. The fact that you were at the game last weekend. What a lifesaver it was for Green Bay. But man, there's a lot of talk around Green Bay right now. They're if they find a way to get in after the season they've had, oh man, it would be so Green Bay to go and lose in the NFC Championship, but still get there. But they have a chance for sure. They definitely have a chance. They got to win the next 2, but they're playing better football. Kind of everyone's pulling the rope in the right direction. I think for the first time in about a year and a half, it seems that they're all kind of buying in. It's crazy to say that, but they are. You could see it happening. I don't think it's going to, but I'd give it about a 30% chance. Yeah,
they got Minnesota at home and Detroit at home to wrap up their season. So they control their destiny. Minnesota, they play in a dome, so they got to go outside. But yeah, it's a 5:25 game on Sunday. That's a fun game. Before we wrap up, prediction: do your Patriots win this weekend?
Patriots win. Patriots win this weekend.
And do they get into the playoffs?
I just feel like they're not going to get in.
That's why I'm thinking it's going to be the Steelers at friggin' 9-8, because I think the Dolphins could lose their last 2. The Jets lose to the Seahawks this weekend. That would mean they're 8-9. Patriots are potentially 8-9. Dolphins are 8-9, and the Steelers win out and they go 9-8 and squeak in.
Yeah, it could happen, and I feel like that's going to happen more than the Patriots getting in. The Patriots have found a way to lose this year, and I think they're going to win, but find a way to just miss.
Right.
I mean, they are what they are, really. At the end of the year, it's not like they're going to get in and go on a run in the playoffs. Like, if they get in, they're losing the first round. So
yeah,
obviously I want them to get in, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I think they're going to win this week, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I appreciate you making the adjustments to get on today. Great extra effort from you. I appreciate that. And have fun in Halifax this weekend. And I'll see you next week in Halifax.
Absolutely, buddy. Well, that sounds good. I'll see you down there. We'll have a beer and, have a great New Year's and enjoy football this weekend. I got killed last night before I go. I had a 4-game parlay. I had the Kansas under in the bowl game.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know if you saw how that played out yesterday.
It was okay. I caught the end of it when I got home. It was crazy.
It was a tough loss to say. Yeah. when you're all they had to do was take a knee. Basically, they couldn't. I can't even talk about it. I'll get so frustrated before brunch. But anyway, buddy, thanks for having me on. I'll have a good one. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next week.
Talk to you later. Happy New Year, Ryder. There's Matt Wright, everybody. Great to talk to him. Lots of great insight this morning. He's a coach and he's a talent evaluator himself, so really interesting stuff to hear from him. And yeah, I mean, there's so much. Sports is so complicated and nuanced, right? So there's always different things happening, and I'm looking forward to today at the World Juniors. Tomorrow is Friday, Big Money Friday. We will react to the World Junior Games today, as we do every day here on the podcast. So we'll go through the big money games. I will begin to talk about the college football playoffs. Those are on Saturday, but we will preview those games Saturday as well when I do my predictions for 2023. Just things that are going to happen in the year 2023. So we'll do that on Saturday, the semifinals being TCU, Michigan at 5 p.m. on Saturday, Georgia and the Ohio State at 9 o'clock Saturday night. So you got all the World Junior stuff Saturday. You got those games on Saturday. You got hockey games. It's just too much sports. I'm going to have to cover it all. So we're back tomorrow, back Saturday for 2023 predictions. Sunday, quarterfinal preview show prior to the World Junior Games on Monday. No show Monday as I'm in transit to Halifax, and then shows from Halifax the remainder of the week. So that's what's on tap moving forward. I'll be back tomorrow morning around 8 a.m. with all of you to react to everything that's happened today. Have a good Thursday. Attack the day. Let's go, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on To The Point.